Brink. I'm also with Steve Schmidt, co-founder of the Save America movement, a citizen-led organization focused on defending democracy. Schmidt is also the host of The Warning with Steve Schmidt podcast. Welcome, gentlemen. Thanks to both of you. Steve Schmidt, the stuff that has happened. Put aside I'm nodding for a second. We can dissect that in a minute. But Mohammed bin Salman at the White House being protected by Donald Trump, the fight with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then the call to for the death penalty for these 6 Democrats who said something that is provably true, that nobody in the military has to follow an unlawful order. It does show something of an unraveling of Donald Trump.
Well, it shows an intensifying derangement is what it shows. The warning that was issued by the Democrats, Ali, I just like to point out, very first advertisements that the Save America movement did were aimed at the 2-7 Marines deployed to Los Angeles. And what we said in those ads, geofenced around the deployed areas targeted directly to those young Marines, is that you're part of a tradition. And in this country, there's such a thing as illegal orders. And since the United States was one of the principal wartime victors and was a participant at the Nuremberg trials, and because of things like My Lai, because of Kent State, these are most serious issues, and obeying orders and committing crimes when you defend yourself and you say, I was following orders, is no defense against those crimes. And so Donald Trump, in this moment, we are seeing 2 contradictory things happening. And we have a problem in our idiotized society with accepting things when they're contradictory and happening simultaneously. He is losing popularity with his coalition collapsing, falling apart, unraveling, while at the same time, he is growing more powerful and asserting more power. The danger is in the intersection of a collapse of consent for his policies against a disregard for that consent as he executes them, surrounded by sycophants who tell him there is no dissent and or it can be punished with vengeful acts. So as we go deeper into the pit, there are more and more pit creatures of increasing venom and danger for all of our liberty.
Tom, I want to read something that you wrote about Trump's latest threats against the Democratic lawmakers. You said, Mark Kelly was shot at, launched into space, and flew combat missions over Iraq. Chrissy Houlihan served in the Air Force. Jason Crow was an Army Ranger. Chris DeLuzio is a Navy vet. Alyssa Slotkin spent years as a CIA analyst overseeing Iraq policy. These are not armchair patriots. They're the real thing. So when Donald Trump calls for them to be executed, it tells you something profound. He wouldn't be flipping out like this unless he intends to give orders like that. That's very frightening.
It is, and we've seen this movie before, both in the United States in a relatively small way and overseas in a large way. When the Marine barracks were bombed in Beirut, Ronald Reagan immediately invaded Grenada by way of changing the subject and getting away from the fact that he basically cut and ran after over 200 of our soldiers died. George W. Bush told his biographer, Mickey Herskowitz, reportedly in the months before he ran for president in 2000, that if he ever became president, he would have a little war, only it would be longer than his father's war because it would help him get reelected in 2004. We've seen presidents use foreign policy in really dangerous ways for political purposes. On the larger stage, Armin Lehman he's passed away now, was an old friend of mine. I knew him for years. We traveled the world together. And he was the 16-year-old soldier who hand-delivered the news to Adolf Hitler. He was a member of the Hitler Youth who hand-delivered the news to Hitler that the war was lost and stood outside Hitler's. In fact, he wrote a book about it called In Hitler's Bunker. And he told me that Hitler was furious that his army had lost and had ordered the destruction of Germany. He had ordered his own army to destroy his own people. These are the kind of things that people do, politicians do, madmen do, or when they are losing power or it's slipping. And like I said, we've seen it in a small way here. We see it, the Hitler example, I'm always a little wary of those, but nonetheless, in a big way, it really concerns me where Trump is going right now.
Steve, I want to read a quote from Politico about Mamdani's meeting with Trump on Friday. It sort of relates to what you said, coinciding with his falling out with Marjorie Taylor Greene. This week is the freshest reminder that the MAGA movement has always been defined more by id than ideology, the political shaped by the personal, presenting quite the challenge for whomever must hold the coalition together after Trump. It really sticks with me what you said, that two opposing forces are at play here. Donald Trump losing control of that coalition and asserting himself more.
Listen, Donald Trump's a chump. He's always has been. As someone who grew up in New Jersey where Trump has existed in the frontal lobe of our consciousness, I'm 55 since I was a little kid, no surprise that he would aver any type of confrontation. He's a tough guy. When there's a television camera on him and you see what Trump is like when his supposed enemy, the Red Menace of Manhattan, is in front of him. So the thing that Mamdani and Trump share in common, and this is no disparagement of Mamdani whatsoever, is this. Right? They do share this in common. They both beat the same people. They both defeated the establishment of the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. They flattened it. And so Donald Trump, looking at this good-looking young guy, sees what? He sees a star, not a political enemy. This is all for show. But the show is venomous and dangerous and a literal cancer on the republic. It also is important to mention, as the mayor-elect is standing there, having been smeared as a jihadist, that on X, Elon Musk, for a brief shining moment of transparency, allows us to see where all of these MAGA X accounts that are dividing the American people are from. Guess what?
Yep.
They're from Nigeria. They're from Eastern Europe. They're from all over the world, except for here, proving the deep wisdom of George Washington's warning about foreign entanglements. Yep. So what we see from Donald Trump in that meeting is a supreme fraudulence. And what it's left behind are his sycophants, some of whom are sociopaths filled with menace who want civil war. So they're self-evidently disappointed that Donald Trump didn't rise to the occasion and light everything on fire when the way they see the world, he had a perfect opportunity.
Guys, thank you for your analysis. We always appreciate both of you. Thom Hartmann is the host of the radio program, The Thom Hartmann Program. Steve Schmidt is the co-founder of the Save America movement and host of The Warning with Steve Schmidt podcast. All right, coming up, when it comes to defending